All right, let's break down this case and why it's raising so many questions. Hassan Shibly is leading the call for an independent investigation. He heads the Florida chapter of CAIR, the Council on American-Islamic Relations. And also joining us is Tom Fuentes, a former assistant director of the FBI, now serving as a CNN law enforcement analyst. Welcome to both of you.
Morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Shibly. And I want to start with you. The FBI says it's assembled a team to investigate this shooting. Is that not enough?
Well, we're calling for an independent investigation because this is a system of checks and balances. I mean, the bottom line is that a man who was not convicted or even charged with any crime formally was shot and killed 7 times, once in the head, after 5 hours of interrogation in his house. So that's very disturbing. It raises a lot of questions. We're not accusing the FBI agents of anything. At this point, we just have unanswered questions, and we're calling for an independent probe to answer those questions.
And Tom, we were curious about that. Is it common procedure for the FBI to question somebody they suspect of a crime in their home for that many hours?
Well, it would depend on the circumstances. If you're talking about a very complex case, it could go on and on for several hours in trying to determine what happened in the Waltham murder case from a couple of years ago to what his overall relationship was with Tamerlan, their martial arts activities together, the nature of their friendship. So it is possible to have an interview go on that long. And, of course, the person is in his own home, but he can terminate the interview anytime he wants and say, okay, I don't wish to talk anymore. He's not required to talk to the FBI. He's only required, if he does choose to talk, that he tell the truth.
And Hassan, from what we understand from initial reports, the FBI said he had some sort of knife, and then it said he didn't. I mean, from what you understand, did this man have any sort of weapon today?
No, we received confirmation that he was, in fact, unarmed when he was shot 7 times, once in the head. The best claim they have is that there was a decorative sword in the room somewhere. And my question is, if they really thought that sword was a threat, why would they interrogate a suspect that they thought committed murder in 4 hours of the room with what they perceived to be a weapon? Again, there's no justification for ever lashing out at law enforcement. But for us, this is about procedure. It's not just about the family or the victim of the shooting, but it's more about constitutional principles. We want to know, were his rights violated during that 4 or 5 hour interrogation, and was excessive force used, and that's why we're calling on this independent investigation.
Yeah, Tom, at the same time, this guy was a mixed martial arts expert. The FBI suspected him for playing a part in a vicious murder. 3 people were nearly decapitated, so they would have the idea that he might be a violent guy in their minds, right, during the questioning.
Well, that would be true,
Carol. If they did, they really should have. If they did, they really should have charged him, brought him into the Bureau and questioned him there. I mean, his wife, by the way, does have evidence that he was with her in Atlanta during the time those murders allegedly occurred. If he committed a crime, bring him in. We have due process, we have courts, let's use the system. Let's not take justice into our own hands.
Tom, your take?
Well, if he was in the process of maybe agreeing to sign a confession as to his involvement, you wouldn't want to interrupt that interview process and transport him to another office where he might change his mind. So the judgment of the interview itself, how long it took or where it took place, is up to the agents conducting the investigation, and they would have the experience of that. I would agree with your other guests that given the circumstances, the case should be thoroughly investigated, and an independent investigation that could be trusted by the public and by the community should be conducted. Now, the FBI automatically conducts an investigation anytime an agent's involved in a shooting, particularly a shooting that results in the death of someone. So they would send an inspection team there to conduct a very exhaustive investigation. But I could understand where persons outside the FBI might not think that's objective enough and would want an independent review, and that certainly would be warranted. And I'm sure would be conducted not just by the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, but possibly others as well in this matter.
All right, Hassan Shibly, Tom Fuentes, thank you both so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Our goal is just to make sure law enforcement is abiding by the highest standards. Thank you so much.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Hassan.
Agreed.
Tonight.